right, so let's talk about Mortal Kombat 2021. This ought to be fun, right? So we're going to break the movie down into manageable parts. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to go through part by part of the movie. I'm just going to give you some general ideas of whether the movie was any good or not. And then we're going to break it down for its dramatic effects, the four David Mamet questions, which are, what does your hero want? What is standing in their way? What happens if they don't get it? And why now? So those questions are, to me, very important when we're breaking it down because there are bits and pieces. Sometimes you get lost in the details of the movie, and sometimes you need to remember what the overall movie is even about. So before we even get into the David Mamet question, we need to talk about the film. So it's based on the Mortal Kombat video game series, which I played as a kid. I loved Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. I was kind of okay with 3. I fell off after that. I really did not play many Mortal Kombat games after 3. So I didn't really know any of the characters. Well, some of the newer characters, I didn't really know them. Also, I played the DC Mortal Kombat video games, so that was fun. Where you had Batman and the Joker and all those guys on the game, that was fun. But other than that, I didn't really play that many Mortal Kombat games. So I really, when I saw them, the main character, Cole Young, I thought maybe he was just a character from a Mortal Kombat game that I didn't play. But apparently, from looking at other people, he's a completely wholly created new character just for this movie. And I was like, I don't know about that. So there was obviously a lot of characters that were missing. Obviously, for people who are new to Mortal Kombat is a story of, there are different realms and they engage in this once every couple of generations battle. 10 victories, and Outworld gets to invade Earthrealm, and they have 9 victories, and they get, so this one, this new tournament will be the 10th, and if they win the 10th tournament, then they will be fully able to invade Earthrealm. So this movie is about Shang Tsung leading a team of Outworld warriors to jump the Earthrealm soldiers or Earthrealm warriors before the tournament. So this movie is not about the tournament of Mortal Kombat. This is a prelude to the tournament of Mortal Kombat. So that's kind of where we begin. So Cole Young is a guy who's he's been hunted by Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero is an assassin. He had murdered Scorpion years prior to this. Who I'm guessing, I don't really remember the very, very beginning of the movie. But I think Scorpion might have been one of the chosen for Earthrealm, and he was killed by Sub-Zero. And Cole Young is the descendant of Scorpion. So you have this storyline where Sub-Zero is chasing this guy all through this movie. And in doing so, he ends up really beating the shit out of he destroys Jax's arms by freezing them and crushing them, which was badass. So that's really the general idea. Is Cole Young is he's an empty vessel. He doesn't know anything about Mortal Kombat. He doesn't know anything about the symbols. He doesn't know anything about the inner powers. He doesn't know anything about anything. So now he has to go through and learn about. And as he learns, we learn, right? So it's a redoing of the mythos of Mortal Kombat. So let's get to the David Mamet questions. All right, so what does your hero want? Well, Cole Young is kind of the main character of the movie, but he's not really the one driving the story. What's driving the story is what Shang Tsung wants, and Shang Tsung is the villain. So what does the villain want? Well, Shang Tsung wants to kill all the Earthrealm's warriors before the tournament to make it easier for Outworld to invade Earthrealm. So that's really what he wants to do. And each hero has their own little arc, has their own little interesting, like Sonya wants something different and Jax wants something different. But all in all, they all just want to survive as Outworld is, threatening to come in and, kill them all. What is standing in their way? What is standing in Shang Tsung's way? Well, in this one you have Raiden. So Raiden is hanging out with Liu Kang and Kung Lao. The Order, I think it's the Order of Light or something like that. And he's hanging out with those guys, and those guys are training the Earthrealm warriors, the ones who've made it to their lair, and they're going to train them and teach them the ways of fighting in Mortal Kombat. So they're the the defenders of Earthrealm. So I guess it's time to break down all the characters that are in the movie. So Shang Tsung has Cabal, Reiko, Melina, Goro, Nitara, and Sub-Zero. Also Reptile or Chameleon. I don't know which one that was supposed to be. It was an actual lizard. I don't know if it was supposed to be Reptile or Chameleon. It might have been a combination of both. I know Chameleon I believe Chameleon in the games could go invisible. Reptile was an actual reptile in the video games. Like he would take his mask off and he would literally have like a lizard head. But Raiden, Earthrealm warriors would be Sonya, Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Cole Young, Kano, and Jax. And of course Kano flips later in the movie and becomes a member of the Outworld warriors. But they're the defenders of Earthrealm. So they're the ones who are trying to, collect all of the Earthrealm warriors and to keep stop Shang Tsung from invading Earthrealm. So what happens if they don't get it? What happens if Shang Tsung does not get to kill all of Earthrealm's warriors? Well, he has to actually fight in Mortal Kombat. And he actually has to fight straight up. So, which means he has to play fair. This is all about Shang Tsung cheating. This is all illegal anyway. He's not supposed to be even getting involved with Earthrealm before Mortal Kombat, but he's leading an invasion, an illegal invasion into Earthrealm. And for Raiden, if he does not train all of these Earthrealm warriors, then it is making it easier for Outworld to kill all and to invade Earthrealm. So if he fails to collect all of the warriors necessary and to train them properly, then Outworld will ultimately kill them and invade Earthrealm. So why now? So I guess these tournaments are kind of scheduled, like, every several generations. So the Mortal Kombat tournament is actually on the horizon. So you have a story where, the Earthrealm tournaments or the Outworld knows that the tournament is on the horizon and they want to get the jump on Earthrealm. So that's what they're doing here by invading Earthrealm early and killing a bunch of warriors. So let's get into some of the characters or some of the character angles. And all right, so the story as it has been laid out makes sense, and it's actually pretty good. I know a lot of people think that this should be the story of the tournament, but I think that Mortal Kombat is such a vast franchise that it makes sense for you to do a sort of a prelude before we really get to the tournament. Now, that doesn't mean everything was good, because there are some really big problems with this movie. But I do like the idea of Shang Tsung trying to get the jump on him, because that's pretty much what bad guys do. He's a villain. Why should he play fair? He's not going to play fair. So him trying to invade Earthrealm early by picking off, as many Earthrealm soldiers as he could was a genius idea. Obviously there's nobody there, no elder gods there to stop him, so he's going to do whatever he wants. So that's perfectly fine. Now let's talk about some of the things that happened. Well, let's talk about some of the broad ideas. How were the fight scenes? Because Mortal Kombat is a martial arts franchise, so that means the fight scenes have to be pretty good. And I think that the fight scenes were okay. The animation, the CGI for some of the characters like Goro, like Reptile, it was okay. I liked the Goro animation. I loved it. Actually, it looked pretty dope. The Reptile animation, I was just kind of like, but it was okay. Ultimately, I think they did a decent job. The acting was not good. The acting in this movie was not good. There was a lot of people in this movie who just were not good actors. Liu Kang was the big jump out to me. He was not good. Cole Young was very bland. He just had no real personality. Only thing he really cared about was his family and how his family gets mixed up in this whole Mortal Kombat thing. Because he didn't want to be involved, obviously. But he didn't have a choice. He's branded. So, but you have, of course, Sub-Zero also is hunting him and his family, and Goro was hunting him and his family. So it's kind of, it's like, okay, but I really did not like the Cole Young character. I just didn't see the purpose in it. All right. So it just felt like you could have put another character in that spot, and still it could have been a character like Stryker from I think he's the police officer from the Mortal Kombat franchise. It probably would have made more sense. but it wouldn't have been, a descendant of Scorpion type of thing, which becomes important in the storyline later. Is that Cole Young is a descendant of Scorpion. When you bring up the Deus Ex Machina at the end, then Cole Young being a descendant of Scorpion actually matters. But we'll get to that in a moment. So I didn't really like a lot of the acting. I didn't think the acting was any good. But then again, it's Mortal Kombat. It's about fighting and stuff like that. People saying the characters do cool stuff. A lot of the characters, as far as I'm concerned, were in character. They felt like the characters. I liked Cabal and Kano. I loved both of them. And I thought they were great. Kano was awesome. The guy who played Kano is almost always awesome in these movies because Kano is a jackass. He's a rat bastard. And it makes him very interesting. But Kano, as a character, brought out the worst in everybody else. In so much as, yes, these people are supposed to be heroes, but they abusing the shit out of Kano. For instance, like when we first meet Kano, or at least when I first started paying attention to Kano, he was kidnapped by Sonya Blade. He was kidnapped and he was chained up and she was, kicking him and punching him while he was chained up. Then he comes upon the Order of Light and Liu Kang then fireballs him and then says, "I'm not your enemy." Like, you fireballed the guy. The guy appears, you hit him with a fireball, and then he's like, "I'm not your enemy." And then Raiden shocks him later because he was talking that yin yang to Raiden. And then he's getting bullied at the dinner by Kung Lao and Liu Kang. Of course he turned on us. Of course he turned on Earthrealm. All of you people are dicks. Yeah, he's a rat bastard, son of a bitch anyway. But I mean, seriously. It's not like we treated him with the utmost respect. So, so of course he turned on us. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Of course he would do that. I like that it didn't take much. It just took for Cabal, who knew him, to be like, "Hey, what the hell is wrong with you? Why are you on that side of the fence? You should be over here with us. We about to get money over here." And he was like, "Get money, is it?" And that was kind of it. It didn't take the temptation didn't take much because he didn't like these guys anyway. They didn't like him. So I did like some of the fight scenes. I didn't like some of the added dialogue. Some of the, like when Kung Lao killed Natara and he was like, "Flawless victory." I was like, I don't like kind of how it was kind of forced in, like when Kano ripped the heart out of Reptile / Chameleon and he was like, Kano wins. Even though I did think it was cool, I just think it was kind of extra. Like, we get it's a video game. We don't need kind of a video game nod. It's like this whole thing is a video game nod. But it was interesting how some of this stuff went. For instance, they have these symbols, the symbols on their bodies that are the chosen for the tournament, and these symbols lead to their superpowers. So not everybody has superpowers in the world. Only those who have the symbol of the dragon symbol, or what they call it. I forget what they call them, but whatever. These people have access to superpowers, their inner power. And the Order of Light was going to train these people to how to use their inner power. And Cole Young was completely terrible, awful, didn't know anything, couldn't fight, getting his ass beat repeatedly. And they ended up sending him home. They're like, "All right, you got to get out of here. You suck." Even though it was just basically Raiden playing 3D chess with this guy and, figuring out that if you send him where he wants to be, his powers will manifest in a certain way. Kano's power, which is the ability to shoot a single eye laser, comes out as he's getting bullied by Liu Kang and Kung Lao at the dinner. And he gets very, very angry and he shoots a beam out of his eye. Jack's inner power comes out, which reinforces his metal arms. His metal arms, of course, comes from after Sub-Zero breaks his real arms. He is fitted with thin metal arms by the Order of Light, but these thin metal arms are weak and barely move in them. And we're dealing with with him being self-conscious about his arms and how him basically wanting to give up and saying like, "Look, this is horrible. This will never work. I can't do this." And, but near the end, as he needs to save Sonya, as this gigantic thing fell, his power woke up and his arms were reinforced and they became stronger. and he was able to lift this gigantic boulder. And I thought it was cool because it was a short. The arc made sense. You had this guy who was completely outmatched by Sub-Zero. He got, when he was normal, he got his arms destroyed. He was humiliated. And then he was kind of unable to use the metal arms to their fullest extent. And then when it came down to something he really felt like he needed to do, which was protect his friend, Sonya was in this movie with no special powers for the most part. She was kind of an extra. And she's in danger. And Jax feels like it's his responsibility to keep her alive, to protect her. So, his arms reinforced and he was able to save her at the time. So you had different powers awakening for different reasons. And for Kano, it was his ego. As he's being offended and being, picked on, his power manifests. For Cole Young, it is in defense of his family. As Goro was trying to kill his family, he manifests his power, which is essentially just some kind of body armor, like some kind of body wrap that, of course, comes with like tonfas that are sometimes sharp, sometimes blunt. And he has to learn how to wield this power in order to stop Goro from attacking him. So, Liu Kang had powers when we met him. I don't remember how he told the story of how he got his powers, about, him getting into some type of fight with some guy. And I think the guy was a child molester or something like that, child kidnapper or something. And, his power awoke then, and we didn't really get to see what happened with Kung Lao. But it made sense that, their inner powers comes from different things within their emotional spectrum within inside of them. But it was also a very interesting thing that you can get the person's symbol if you kill them. So when Kano his power awakens, he helps Outworld by destroying Raiden's barrier. Raiden is keeping Outworld away from the Order of Light with his barrier. Kano destroys it to let Outworld in, and he officially joins them on their side. And he has, of course, a symbol. Sonya Blade kills him and gets his symbol, and then she also gets a version of his power, where his power is to shoot one laser beam, so she can shoot laser beams too. So that was, at least that made sense. And they kept up with the Sonya Kano storyline from the movies, from the early movies, and from the video games. I'm not sure how similar it is, but Sonya and Kano are essentially, almost always at each other's throats. So that at least made sense. I think they've changed it a little bit, but at least that made sense. So we have, that kind of stuff happening. All right, so let's talk about some of the storylines that I'm going through. Maybe not all of the storylines in the movie, but some of the things that I thought maybe didn't make that much sense. For starters, let's talk about the Cole Young situation, because he was one of the weaker parts of the movie. So Cole Young can't fight. He's getting beaten up by Liu Kang and Kung Lao in the Order of Light. He's been running from Sub-Zero the whole movie because he can't fight him, can't beat him up. Nobody can beat him up, to be quite honest. So it makes sense. He's the ultimate sort of warrior for Outworld, even though that's supposed to be Goro. But neither here nor there. So we had this Sub-Zero. I believe it's the first Sub-Zero, by the way. I think it's behind the first Sub-Zero. So so Cole Young is getting abused in the Order of Light. He just doesn't have it in him. Raiden sends him home to his family, and Goro appears. So this guy who couldn't beat up Kung Lao, couldn't beat up Liu Kang, his power manifested, right? His power just boom. He has this armor over him that's able to help protect him from Goro. And he kills Goro. And I was just kind of like, that was anticlimactic as hell. Goro just got done dirty again. I was kind of like, wow. Goro is supposed to be like the ultimate warrior of Outworld. He's the champion of Outworld. So for him to get beaten by this rookie who doesn't even know how his powers worked or how his powers manifested, was kind of a big shock to me. That was the first problem. Second problem is that Melina, right? Melina is about to kill Sonya because they've fought, and Sonya is not a member of the Earth Realm team. So Melina, after she stabs Sonya in the shoulder and she licks her blood, and she's like, "Wait a minute, you're not one of the chosen, so killing you wouldn't make any sense." So she leaves her alone. Like, Melina's a villain, but she at least is like, "Look, I'm not just gonna kill random people. I'm just gonna let this be." Later, Melina is about to kill Cole Young, the guy who killed Goro, by the way. He can't beat Melina, and Sonya has to help him beat Melina. And through her little arm lasers or whatever, she puts like a giant hole in Melina, and Melina dies. And I was just kind of like, huh, interesting. Like, real interesting. That's strange booking you got there. Like, he can kill Goro, who's got 4 arms and is strong as shit, but he couldn't really beat Melina. Whatever. But at least we got Sonya, who got to, get her win back over Melina. Of course, Kano got killed by Sonya, which really didn't bother me that much. Natara gets killed by Kung Lao. That didn't bother me that much either, except for the fact that he rode her like the Silver Surfer into a spinning hat. I thought that was weird, but other than that, okay. Okay. So Cabal and Liu Kang. I enjoyed the Cabal scenes. He seemed to be very cool. Cabal was one of my favorite characters when I played Mortal Kombat. He was the guy when you snatched his mask off, he had like a really ugly face and he could scare your soul out of your body. So I thought that was pretty fucking dope. I hate that they didn't use that here, that he didn't, scare somebody's soul out of their body. But he gets killed by Liu Kang, who summons a giant dragon. Just a fire dragon. Like, he just summoned this fire dragon that then eats him. And I thought, like, wow, that was badass, right? Like, that was badass. At the same time, you're like, wow, if you can do that, we should be good as far as Earthrealm is concerned. We should be good. So that was sweet. Let's see what else we got here. So Reiko, who is one of the Outworld generals, I believe, from the video games, he gets killed by Jax. Jax, who has, found his inner power, and now his arms are perfectly fine. He can take out Reiko, and Reiko with the giant hammer. Well, I'm guessing it was kind of like Shao Kahn's hammer, but whatever. He ends up killing him, beating him to death with his metal arms, which was fine with me. And so the only person from Earthrealm that gets killed is Kung Lao, and he gets his soul eaten by Shang Tsung. And this is a descendant of the original Kung Lao. So this is not. He's the cousin of Liu Kang. I remember I played the video game, the Kung Lao Liu Kang video game. I also played the Sub-Zero solo game. I love both of those games too. I know some people from Mortal Kombat don't really like those games. Like, people from that fandom, they don't really care for the Liu Kang Kung Lao game or the Sub-Zero solo game. But I like both of them. I was a fan of both of those games. So the ending of the movie, or the last fight of the movie, was probably the most egregious as far as I'm concerned, because we got Sub-Zero. He's kidnapped Cole Young's family. They're basically frozen to death. They're blue in the face. And Sub-Zero has lured Cole into this frozen temple or whatever. And Cole is given this this knife from Raiden, and it's supposedly Scorpion's knife, and it's encased in Scorpion's blood. And we see visions of Scorpion throughout the movie, of him basically floating around this knife, and Sub-Zero is kicking Cole Young's ass, because of course he is. And then Cole Young cuts his hand with this knife that has Scorpion's blood on it, and since he's Scorpion's descendant, this summons Scorpion from hell. And Scorpion comes from hell to get his revenge on Sub-Zero. And for a certain part of the movie, for like the last fight of the movie, is Cole Young and Scorpion versus Sub-Zero. And Sub-Zero, he beating the hell out of Cole Young, but he's having a harder time with Scorpion. And it was very interesting. And it becomes, they had to work together to kill him, to weaken him. And then Scorpion, of course, cooks him with his hellfire breath, and gets his revenge from the massacre that took place early in the movie where Sub-Zero killed him and his family. I'm like, okay, that felt like a Deus Ex Machina, of course, because Scorpion is not involved in the movie for the most part. He just appears near the end by, like I think they bookended the movie with Scorpion, but he's not a part of the movie as far as, as a regular character. He just really appears to get his revenge, and while that's fine, I just kind of felt like that's why we were stuck with Cole Young all this time. We were stuck with this empty vessel, this no-name guy who ended up killing Goro, for fuck's sake. Because, he is the key to resurrecting Scorpion to defeat Sub-Zero, who is now, I'm guessing, the ultimate assassin of Outworld. And I was just kind of like, okay. Now, again, fight scenes were not bad. I enjoyed the Scorpion and Sub-Zero fight scene. I enjoyed I enjoyed the Goro fight scene because I just liked seeing Goro. It's really coolly animated. I just didn't like how it ended. So I didn't have too many problems with the fight scene. Sub-Zero was a badass throughout the entire movie. Scorpion was pretty cool. But this was a solid C+ movie. We could have done okay with it being not a tournament. I was cool with that, but I just think like it was some of the characterizations were kind of off. The acting was not that good. So I would give like a C+, B-, as far as movies are concerned. They did tease a second movie where they're going to go find Johnny Cage. And Johnny Cage is, I'm guessing, going to be in the next iteration of this movie. And they're probably going to bring up some more Earthrealm heroes because they didn't have a lot this time. But they have, maybe next time it's going to be some different. But you had this movie that basically had Goro in it, it had Sub-Zero in it, it had Scorpion in it, and they kind of blew their load when it comes to that. And I was just kind of like we could have saved Goro for the next movie, or we could have saved Goro for the actual tournament. Like if you could have, I don't know who you could have put in that place, but Goro didn't need to be that character. It could have been easily somebody else. What was one of the other ones? Motaro, I think there's a Kentaro, the tiger one. I think Goro should have been saved for the actual tournament. And plus, you would think that Shang Tsung would really get punished for getting Goro killed. Like he really should have gotten killed by Shao Kahn for that. But I was kind of like, okay, well, whatever, man. We're just in for the ride, dog. You turn your brain off and watch this movie. It's not that bad. I would say it's a C+, B- movie. The story made sense. It was decent, but I didn't like the acting. I didn't like some of the characterizations. But the characters did kind of feel like the characters sometimes, especially Kano, who stole every scene he was in. Sonya was fine. She wasn't over the top. They didn't go full girl power with Sonya. She was pretty much the only. So she was fun. Jax was fine. I liked his arc about him, being humiliated by Sub-Zero and actually coming back with having his confidence rebuilt. I just think that Cole Young being the main character was kind of silly. And I think it distracted a lot from the movie because his family really didn't add anything, outside of, his bloodline added something, obviously because it was Scorpion, but I didn't feel like he added that much to the film. And, that's just me. But let me know what you guys think. And if you saw this movie, let me know what you think. And I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace.